Okay, what's up everybody? My name is Sen. Welcome back to the channel. For today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about hardware. As you all know, I have a couple different fight sticks and a hitbox on top of that. On the topic of hardware, recently a friend of mine by the name of Mark, link will be in the description to his channel, recently hit me up about the fact that his fight stick of 4 or 5 years recently broke. He asked if I had any recommendations. I had a couple in the shape of the Hori RAP4, the Razer Panthera, the Quanba Obsidian, and then the Victrix Pro. I know those are very prominent sticks. I know a lot of people use them and probably would swear and stand by them. Now, the stick in question that my friend actually bought is the Mayflash F300. I thought about getting something like this for my son, actually, and, funnily enough, I could actually get a discount on this. Nice. So when I asked Mark how long he'd been using the stick, he did say about 4 or 5 years, but at the beginning of the life cycle of him using the stick, he was using it a lot. He was using it like once every day, and then it became less and less over time. It was like, once every couple days, once a week, and then like once a month, something like that. So all in all, I wouldn't call this stick regularly used, and eventually it did break even though it wasn't used a lot. I'm not sure under the circumstance of what it broke, like if it was just like some circuitry, if the stick stopped working, if the buttons were a problem. I didn't really ask the specifics. This definitely is a case of you get what you pay for, because if I used a bit more of a quality stick as opposed to this one, it would have lasted a lot longer, and I haven't had any problems with any of my other sticks or hitbox. So my first ever stick, I've showed this off before, this is the Hori RAP4. I've had this stick for a very long time, and it has a little bit of a story to it as well. You guys know I regularly use a hitbox. I have the very controversial hitbox cross-up, and then I have the Dragon Ball FighterZ edition of the Razer Panthera. I think I might actually start using the Panthera a bit more, but let me say before I continue with any of this, do not gear gate yourself when it comes to playing fighting games. Like, that is one of the last things I would actually recommend. And what I mean by that is, like, chances are if you have a console in the house, you have a controller, and that's more than good enough to get started, get the idea, get the feel, and even just see if you like fighting games to begin with. You can absolutely use fight sticks on other games as well, and the games that you can use them on, it's pretty enjoyable. I like doing it. Yeah, funnily enough, like an example of this is Tony Hawk, actually. I'm not very good at this on stick, so don't expect me to do anything crazy here, but yeah, it's something you absolutely can do. But continuing the topic of gear gating yourself, many fantastic players play on controllers, so don't think that you need a stick or anything to help you get better, or that you need one to get started. That's just not the case. In fact, there are actually some disadvantages to playing stick. Maybe if you are looking for pure advantage, I would recommend a hitbox, but even then it's a very learned process. So now I wanted to talk about this stick, the RAP4. This thing has a little bit of story behind it. So when I fully decided on the stick when I first went to an anime convention. They had a Dragon Ball FighterZ tournament. I didn't know what tournament was going on. I asked if I could run some casual games. They let me. I was playing on a controller, and someone actually had this stick, but in red. I asked them if I could try it because I was very curious to actually get a stick for myself, and yeah, they let me. I was terrible. I didn't know really what I was doing or anything like that. This was when I was still very bad at the game. And yeah, after that, I was pretty decided that I was going to get a fight stick. Now, after that, I was definitely struggling with learning it. It's tough. It's completely different. It's not like anything I've ever done before. And yeah, one of the constant problems I was running into was instant air dashing. I could not instant air dash to save my life. And I still had some extra money laying around, so I was actually in Cloud805's chat, and I asked him, because I know he's a notable hitbox player, if he would recommend a hitbox. And he said, yeah. So I got a hitbox as well, started learning the hitbox, and the rest is history. I play standard fighting games that are not Dragon Ball FighterZ on this, and I play Dragon Ball FighterZ on my hitbox, as well as certain other anime games. Now, I had put down Fight Stick for a long while, and then Guilty Gear Strive came into the picture. I had a PS5 at this time, and it said it wouldn't allow for PS4 controllers for that game. I did not know about installing the PS4 version of the game at the time, so I just committed to learning a stick again, and I found myself really enjoying myself on stick with more standard fighting games that weren't Dragon Ball. Eventually, I started learning some Tekken, And my brother kind of got on that train as well. He asked if he could borrow a stick from me. I didn't want to let him use any of my other sticks, so I let him use my RAP4. I got it back about a month later. My brother bought a Razer Atrox to use. And yeah, I got this stick back a month later, and it was not the best condition. It wasn't ruined or anything, but the stick was all gunked up with something. It could have been beer, it could have been juice, and then one or two of the buttons needed to be replaced as well because they had something in it as well. So I ordered some new buttons, I ordered a new stick, and in the in the Hori RAP4, the stick for the default stick is octagonal. It is an octagonal gate, so I bought a square stick. I believe it is either the buttons or the stick was a Semijutsu stick or buttons. I don't remember. It might be Sanwa buttons. I cannot recall. So I kind of wanted to talk about sticks in general. So if you're fully set that you are going to get a stick, I wanted to talk a little bit about the sticks that I have. The RAP4, I've talked about enough already, but this is a good, like, nicer beginner starting stick. It comes, like I said, with an octagonal gate that's a bit different than what you usually see. Either you'd usually see a square gate or a diamond gate typically. Octagonal, now that I'm comfortable on it, I'm curious to try it again, but I would need to order a new RAP4, and I don't particularly feel like doing that. As far as working on this stick, it's not that bad. It's literally just unscrewing a couple screws, opening up the back panel, and then everything's there. My second stick, which is the Hitbox, it's obviously not a stick. It doesn't have a lever. Yeah, this thing is amazing. I love using it all the time. It's very ergonomic as far as laying my hands on it. It feels good to use. While some things are definitely more intuitive as far as motions, and some things come out simpler and cleaner, some are just as hard. For instance, a Dragon Punch input, that's very tough for me on a couple different games. Some games are a bit easier, like Street Fighter V has very simple inputs, very, like, higher input leniency, where other games just don't. Let's talk about the Razer Panthera Dragon Ball FighterZ Edition. I haven't been using this stick a lot, and that's just because I wanted to kind of put it on like a shelf, or like I kind of wanted to put this stick on a shelf or something, just to like as like a display. But more and more I'm actually wanting to use this stick because I want to get my hands on a conventional RAP4, or not RAP4, Razer Panthera. But just having the spare money, and then also on top of that, finding them is going to be the hardest part, and finding them new as well, because these aren't manufactured anymore, I don't believe. The biggest perk about the oh my god, I keep doing it. The biggest perk about the Razer Panthera is the hood. You can pop the hood, get underneath, very easy access to the internals, whether you want to replace the stick or the buttons or anything you need. The only thing that I'm worried about is when it comes to replacing anything in here. Now, the stick I've probably touched the least is the Hitbox cross-up. With that being said, I love the design of it. I love how simple it is. I love the black on white. I love the feeling of the stick. The lever itself feels great. The buttons feel great. My only problem with it is when I try to use it as a conventional stick, is that sometimes I will accidentally hit the movement buttons instead of the attack buttons. It's definitely the stick I've used the least. There's a lot to it, and obviously it's very controversial for a lot of people as well, because the SOCD, simultaneous opposite cardinal direction, it raises a lot of eyebrows, and it's, I believe, banned in tournament. So if you're planning on just using it online, by all means, but if you one day want to enter a tournament, I would maybe stray away from this guy. All in all, with that being said, like, I wish Hitbox would make a standard stick. Like, if they just removed the Hitbox element, if they removed the movement buttons and just made a pure stick, I would absolutely love it. I would absolutely buy it in a heartbeat, but I do want to get a base model Panthera before that. So yeah, the RAP4 is going to be your cheapest, nicer stick. I've used it for a long time. I've been putting some serious wear and tear on this thing. This thing is held up like a beast. The hitbox I've had for a while, it's going to be more expensive than your RAP4, I think on both aspects. And then the Panthera is going to be the most expensive, but maybe your most modular stick. So that's my talk on hardware. I hope you found this valuable in some capacity. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you later. Peace.